everyone, welcome back to my channel, Everlynn's Books and Tea. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video, which I am excited about. I hope you guys are too, because today we will be playing my TBR game to create my October TBR. This is my favorite time of the month to be able to record this video because I always get so excited to see what books I'm going to be reading the following month. And October is the start of, for me, like a wonderful reading season because the temperature is getting cooler. I can turn on my fireplace, and I love reading with the fireplace on because it just gives a nice cozy atmosphere. I hope everyone had a good September. I will say my September TBR didn't go as planned, mostly because, you know, it was the start of the fall weather and the start of football and the start of the English Premier League soccer teams. So I spent a lot of time watching sports and enjoying the fall. So not as much time reading as I normally do for a month, but let me show you how I did on my September TBR before we get started with the game. All right, so here are my physical books on the TBR. I read Welcome to the Sea for a book set at a school and completed that. I got All In for a book with a yellow or blue color, read that, and then this is where things started going downhill. Had Finley Donovan is Killing It, never got to this one. Had The Passengers, never got to it. The House at the End of the World, never got to it. Had the first book in the Bridgerton series, The Duke and I, did not read it. Then I have The Secret Chapter, which I will complete this by the end of the month. Then I had a couple of Kindle books. I had The Hominids for a sci-fi fantasy award-winning nominee book. I had Close Knit for a new release, and neither of those did I read as well. So I read or will read 4 out of the 9 books. So failed the TBR, which means we'll be adding another boarding pass to the TBR game for October. And just as a reminder, if I land on the boarding pass, that means I have to go all the way back to the beginning of the game while keeping the books that I have already accumulated. So not the greatest place to land, but that's what makes the game fun and interesting and exciting. So there will now be 2 boarding passes on the board instead of 1. So let's get to our October game. We are officially in the fall season, so we'll be playing on the fall game board I created last year, and I love this game board. I'm probably still going to recreate a new one in the future, but for now we'll be playing on this one. First thing we have to do is pull up our tokens, see what random spots they are going to land on our board. So here's the random number generator that will correspond to these tokens. So looking at this list, there's a couple that stand out. First off is this boarding pass that is almost at the end of the board. And that makes me a little nervous to land on because that would just be sad, having to go all the way back from the beginning when you're so close to the end. Then same for this time of vacation one, though this one's not as devastating because you only have to go back to the next token. So at least not all the way back to the beginning. But those are the 2 that stand out for me. Hopefully we can make it through this game without hitting them, but we'll have to see how lucky I am today. All right, I think that's it. We'll be playing with the 8-sided dice as usual. Let's get to our first roll for our October TBR. Here we go. So for our first roll, we could not have started off any better. We rolled an 8. We landed on red. So let's pull up those prompts. All right, so we have our autumn bags now that we are in fall. And in here we have some cover prompts. We have our miscellaneous prompts again, and then 5 series prompts. So let's see what we get for our first roll of the game. All right, let's mix these up. All right, let's split the deck here. Sounds good. And then for our first prompt, we have a series prompt, which is 6 Tudor Queens series. I think this is the first time I came up with a 6 Tudor Queen, adding this on to my TBR. So this is a historical fiction series that each book is based on one of the Tudor queens. So the first book in the 6 Tudor Queen series, which is by Alison Weir, is Catherine of Aragon, the True Queen. So this book follows Princess Catherine, whose original name was Catalina. She was the daughter of monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella. She ends up coming to England and becomes betrothed to the heir of the English throne, who is Arthur, Prince Arthur. Then tragedy strikes, and she ends up betrothed to the future Henry VIII. So she eventually becomes Queen of England, but As we all know, Henry VIII had multiple wives, and he ends up falling in love with Anne Boleyn, and now Catherine has to kind of defend her title of queen. So there we have it. That will be our first book on our TBR. So I'm excited about this one. I do enjoy historical fiction books, especially those set in England, and I'm excited to read about the story of Catherine of Aragon. So this was a great way to start this TBR, but now we need to get to our second roll. So let's bring up the game board. Alright, so for our second roll, we only rolled a 2, but we did get the new release jar. So in this jar, there are a bunch of books that have been released in the last year, and we are going to pull out one, and whatever that book is gets onto our TBR. So let's shake the jar up a little bit, mix this up. Alright, let's see what we get for our second book on this TBR. Things are going good so far. Alright, let's go with this one. Alright, so our second book on our TBR for October is going to be Love at First Book by Jen McKinley. So this book was released back in May. Obviously, it's a romance book based on books, so who could not like that? So this book follows Emily, who's originally based out of Martha Vineyard as a librarian, when she ends up meeting her favorite author. And the author asked her to travel to Ireland to help her finish the last book in her series. She's had writer's block. It's been 10 years since the book before this was released. And she's hoping that Emily will be able to get her through the writer's block and complete this last book of the series. Emily agrees. She's very excited to move to Ireland and help her favorite author. But there she also ends up running into the author's son, Kieran, who runs his mother's bookshop. He is a grouchy bookworm, and at first, Emily doesn't really want to deal with him, but then when her favorite author ends up being sick, she has to play peacemaker between her and her son because her son wants her to rest, the author wants to finish the book, and Emily starts to realize that there's more to Kieran than she originally thought. So this just sounds like a fun, cozy romance, and one that I can get through quickly, so I'm definitely happy to add this one to my TBR. Alright, so I think things are going well so far. We have a historical fiction, we have a romance. Let's get to our third roll and see what our third book is going to be. Alright, so for our third roll, we got another high number. We rolled a 7, which is amazing. We are getting through this board so quick. And it brought us to a yellow spot. So let's pull up the yellow bag and see what we get for our third roll of the game. All right, so here is our yellow bag with a cute little fox on it. Let's see what these cards are. So these cards are our title prompt cards, some miscellaneous prompts, and then some series prompts. So let's mix these up really quick and see what our third prompt of the game is going to be. All right, let's split the deck right there. And our third prompt is a title prompt, and it is a book with a 4-word title. All right, 4 words in the title. That can't be that hard. Let me take a look through my physical TBR, and I'll be right back. So I actually found 2 middle grade novels. Each of them has 4 words in the title. The first is A Swiftly Tilting Planet by Madeleine L. Engel. This is the 3rd book in her Time Quintet series that follows the Murray family and their adventures. Next is The Dark is Rising by Susan Cooper. This is the 2nd book in her The Dark is Rising sequence. So this book follows Will Stanton, who on his 11th birthday finds out that he is the last of the old ones, who are the immortals dedicated to keeping the dark at bay. This book follows his quest for the 6 magical signs that will one day aid the old ones in the final battle between the dark and the light. So those are our 2 options. I think I'm going to go with A Swiftly Tilted Planet because I am closer to being finished with this series than with this one. So I would like to get some of these series done by the end of the year, which is only 3 months away. So we'll go with A Swiftly Tilting Planet by Madeleine L. Engel. All right, now we need to choose our Kindle book for this prompt. The book I'm going to go with for the Kindle choice is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This is actually a book on my 24 books to read in 2024, and as the year is coming to the close, I really need to knock some of these books off that list. I'm excited about this one. So Richard Osman is a comedian as well as an author now, and I first came across him on the British TV show Would I Lie to You? And I'm excited to see how his comedy translates into a book. So this book follows 4 friends who live in a retirement village who have created this club to solve unsolved murder crimes. But then someone ends up murdered in their own retirement village, and for the first time, they are going to have to solve a murder that is close to home. There we go. So that is the Kindle choice that we will put on our TBR. All right, 3 books down. We are moving quickly through the board. I am excited about this. We have to do our 4th roll now, though, and see what we get. All right, so for the 4th roll, we only rolled a 2, but we did land on a brown circle, which is the best circle for this board because it is our color where all the prompts change based on the season. So I didn't have a brown bag, but this bag has a brown owl on it. So these are our prompts that correspond to the brown circle. We have prompts that have to do with fall, prompts that have to do with October, and the 2 astrological signs in October, which are Libra and Scorpio. So let's mix this up and see what prompt we get for our 4th roll. All right, let's split it there. Here we go. Let's see what we get. So we have a fall prompt, autumn prompt, and it is a book with secret or a similar word in the title. All right, let's see what we can find for this prompt. So I couldn't find a physical book that fit this prompt, but I did find a Kindle book, so this prompt will only have 1 book option. And the Kindle book is The Secrets of Lost Stone by Melissa Payne, so secrets is right in the title. So this book follows 32-year-old Jess, who has just lost everything in her life. Her apartment, her job, and her 8-year-old son, Chance. So she ends up packing up her bags and moving to this small mountain town called Pine Lake. There she becomes the caretaker of an eccentric old woman known as Lucy, who also may be a clairvoyant. But Jess is not the only one living in Lucy's Victorian home. There's also a teenage runaway named Star, and a little boy with heart-shaped stones who comes with a hope for reconciliation and a warning. So it sounds kind of like a mystery thriller book, which is perfect for October, so I'm excited to get this onto my TBR. It definitely has kind of a intriguing premise, so I'm excited to find out what is going on in this Victorian home. But The Secrets of Lost Stones will be our 4th book on our TBR. All right, let's move on to our 5th roll. Things were going so well. We were rolling such big numbers. We were so close to completing the board. But then we had to roll that 6. We had to land on the boarding pass, which means that we will be moving back to the beginning of the board while keeping all our books already on our TBR. At least there's only 4. It could have been worse. But anytime we land on the boarding pass, we do have to choose a book, and we choose the book from our series jar. So let me grab that, and we'll see what our 5th book on our TBR will be. All right, here are our series jars. It has the next book in 37 different series I'm currently reading. So let's see what we get. Hopefully it's a short one. We're going to need some short books now that we are starting over. All right, so for our 7th book, or not our 7th, our 5th book on our TBR, we are reading Perfect by Sarah Shepard. So this is the 3rd book in her Pretty Little Liars series. It's kind of like a middle grade young adult book, so they are very quick reads, which is great because that is what we need. So this book follows a group of 4 friends, or I guess now 4 kind of former friends, who, before the series started, their friend disappeared, and the series picked up a year later when all the friends were kind of estranged from each other, and now weird things are happening where the friends are getting these texts from someone known as A, and the friend who disappeared was Allison. So that's kind of the premise of the book. There is a TV show based off it as well. The books are okay. They're definitely not my favorite, but I am excited right now because they are so quick to read. I can usually read these books in like a day, and that is what we need for this TBR now. So this will be our 5th book on our October TBR, Perfect by Sarah Shepard. All right, we're starting over. We're at the beginning of the board again. Let's do our 6th roll and hope that we get some big numbers. A 3, not a big number. We need some 7s, we need some 8s. We need to make it around this board. We did end on the yearly TBR though, and that means we'll be choosing a book from my yearly TBR jar. So this is my yearly TBR jar. It has all the books left on my 24 books to read in 2024 list. There's still quite a few for 3 months remaining. You know, I was thinking what would be nice is if we pull the Murder Club again, because then I can kill 2 prompts with 1 book. That would be great. 2 rolls with 1 book. But I don't know if I'm going to have that luck this month. All right, let's see what we get. All right, everyone think the Murder Club. All right, we're going to go with this one here. All right, here we go. I hope it's not a long one. All right, not the Murder Club, but this one will definitely work. So this is The Mysterious Affairs at Styles by Agatha Christie. This is the first book in her, I can never say this guy's name, Hercule Poirot detective series. This is a good one. This one is short. All her books are so quick to get through, and I enjoy the mystery vibes that she gives. I love the whodunit books. I'm not quite sure what this one is about. I think someone gets murdered in an estate, and maybe it is Hercule. Anyway, the detective has to solve that crime. I feel like Agatha Christie is a perfect like October mystery feel too, with the whodunit murders. So I am excited to get this one onto our game board, even though we are starting from the beginning again. This is another short book. The game's kind of being a little bit nicer to me, so hopefully it will continue that. All right, what are we on? 7th roll, I think. Let's go ahead and bring up the game board, see what we get for our 7th roll. I was so excited for this roll. We got an 8. That means we were going to be moving ahead, but then we had to land on the time for vacation token. Could have been worse again, could have been a boarding pass. We don't have to move back like super far, but still, we're moving backwards again. This is not the direction we need to be going right now. We are already up to 6 books, I believe, and moving backwards is not getting us any closer to the end. But this is where we are. So just like with the boarding pass, if I land on time for vacation token, we pull a book out of our series jar. All right, here is our series jar once again. Let's hope for another good one. Another short one would be wonderful. I know there are some long ones in here like Wheel of Time, Mistborn series. Those are not what we need this month. All right, here we go. We're gonna go with this one here. All right, our 7th book on this TBR is A Swiftly Tilting Planet by Madeline L. Engel. That is already on our TBR. This is perfect. That means we get 2 books for, wait, no, not 2 books. This means we get 1 book for 2 prompts, which means we still only have 6 books on our TBR. Maybe luck has turned around. Maybe luck is now with us. I'm so excited about this. I couldn't ask for a better pick from that jar. I'm getting excited again because we are getting some luck in these pulls. We're getting some, well, not so much luck on our rolls, but hopefully now that will turn around. But let's go ahead. Let's pull up the game board. Let's do our 8th roll of the game. So for our 8th roll, we rolled a 6, so we're getting some better high numbers, and we did not end up on a boarding pass or a time for vacation token. We did end up on a yellow circle, so let's grab that back. This bag has, I believe it's our title prompts in here. Let me double check. Yeah, our title prompts, some miscellaneous prompts, and some series prompts. So let's see what we get for our eighth roll of the game, right? Yeah, our 8th roll of the game. All right, here we go. Split the deck here, and our prompt for our 8th roll is a series prompt, and it is the Broken Earth series. So the Broken Earth series is a series by N.K. Jemisin. I am on the 3rd and final book of the series, which is why I'm okay with drawing this because it's also on my 24 books in 24. So not only will I get to finish a series, I'll also get to check off another book off of that list. On the downsides, these books take a little bit of time to read because they are very in-depth, very descriptive, can be a little bit confusing, and they're kind of like a science fiction fantasy book feel. These books are a little hard to describe. They do take place way far in the future. There is a magical system, sort of a magical system, based on people being able to do things with metals and stuff, I believe. It's definitely a little bit confusing. When I read the first book, it took me a long go around to really figure out what was going on. But I've ended up enjoying this series, and I'm excited to get to the third book in the series so I can call this one complete. It's been a while since I read the last one. I don't even remember if it was, I think it may have been this year. It may have been last year, honestly. But I'm excited to be able to check off a series from my series jar if I get to this month. So this will be our next book on our TBR, The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. Somehow I only have one physical book on this TBR, which is kind of crazy when we're 8 rolls in. I guess this is a month of getting through my Kindle TBR. All right, I think we're up to our 9th roll now. So let's go ahead and bring up the game board, see where we are. All right, another good roll. We got another 6. This time we ended up on our yearly TBR again, which means we are going to be knocking off a lot of my 24 and 24 books this month, which is what I need. Again, now if we draw the Stone Sky or there's a Murder Club, that means we're going to get 2 rolls, 1 book, which is really what we need in this TBR right now. All right, let's hope for the best. All right, not looking. They're folded up anyways. I can't really tell what they are. This 1 or 2? This is 2. I'm going to take this one. All right, let's see what we got. I swear I am not planning this. I am truly pulling these the first time, but we got the Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. I can't believe this is happening. The board is being really mean to me. These jars are being exceptionally nice to me this time around. So again, we're going to get to read 1 book for 2 rolls. I'm so happy. I can't even describe how happy I am right now. All right, let's put the jar back and let's get to our 10th roll of the game, I think. Yep, our 10th roll of the game. What is it with me rolling big numbers and landing on boarding passes? This is the second time I have landed on this same boarding pass. We get so close and then it's just like all gone. Back to the beginning, keeping the books that we have, which doesn't look like a huge stack because it's only 1 physical book, but there's a lot of Kindle books in here. But, you know, this is the way the game wants to be in October. I can't really say anything. I should have finished my September TBR and we may not be here right now. But that's okay. We are going to make it through this. Let's go ahead, pull out our series jar and choose the, I don't even know. It should be the 8th book on the 10th roll. So we have 2 freebies. All right. Hopefully the jars will continue to be nice to me and I won't pull Wheel of Time or Mistborn or any of the longer series in here. All right, let's think of a good one. All right, we'll go with this one here. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got. All right, we got Lost Books and Old Bones by Paige Shelton. This book has been on my TBR several times, and I'm not going to complain about getting it on this TBR again. This is a very short, cozy mystery series. This is the 3rd book in the series, and I really enjoyed the first 2. They are very quick reads. They follow Paige Shelton, who's American, who ended up getting hired to work at this kind of antique bookstore in Edinburgh. In each book, she ends up solving a murder mystery that she somehow finds herself entangled in. So they're really fun, cute, cozy reads, and I love Edinburgh is one of my favorite cities to visit, so I enjoy reading these books that are set there and kind of hearing about the different things I saw when I did visit Edinburgh several times. So kind of brings me back to those visits. So again, Jars being nice to me, Bored not so much. Could be worse. It could be both of them being mean to me. But let's add this book on to our TBR. All right, so like I implemented in a previous game, anytime we land on a boarding pass twice and have to start over, we get to go up to a 12-sided die. So we'll be doing that from now on, rolling our 12-sided die to hopefully get around this board and complete this game. So let's bring up the board for our 11th roll of the game. Yay. Alright, this time we rolled a 5. 12-sided dice didn't really help there, but we landed on orange, so let's grab that bag. I think that's the first time we see the orange bag this game, and grab our next prompt. Alright, so here is the orange bag. In it are plot prompts, and then our miscellaneous prompts and some series prompts as well. So let's see what we get for our 11th roll of the game. Alright, let's split the deck here. And we got another series prompt. Geez, this is the School of Good and Evil series. We are not really being able to choose our books too much this month, but again, can't complain because these are quick reads and they are a middle grade series. All right, so I am on the 3rd book in this series, which is called The Last Ever After. This series follows Sophie and Agatha, who in the first book end up being taken to the School of Good and Evil, where they are split up into being good and being evil. Agatha, who thought she was always bad, ends up in the good castle, and Sophie, who thought she was always a princess good, ends up in the bad castle. And then the books kind of take off from there. They're based on like fairy tales, and the graduates of the bad school end up being the villains in fairy tales, you know, or their entourage. And the graduates of the good school end up being the princesses, the princes, the good witches, all that kind of thing. So they're fun reads. They're definitely fun reads. Definitely for middle school level, but quick reads, which again is what we need this month. And who wouldn't want to read a kind of fairy tale remaking in the month of October? Seems like a good month to do that. So that will be I don't even know how many books we're on. That will be our next book that we add to this TBR. All right, this 12-sided die is doing absolutely nothing for us. We rolled a 2. We could have rolled that with a 6-sided die, a 4-sided die. That's 12-sided die, not really helping. We ended up, though, on yellow again. We've been on yellow a lot. So let's grab that bag. Again, these are our title prompts, miscellaneous, and series prompts. So let's see what prompt we pull for the, what is this again? For the 12th roll. 12. That's a lot. All right, let's mix up these cards. I'm like losing my mind. All right, here are the cards mixed up. Let's split the deck there. Let's see what our prompt is. Hey, we actually get a prompt this time. Title prompt, a book with a 1-word title. I don't even know if we have any physical books with a 1-word title, but let me go look and see, and I'll be right back. All right, we actually do have a couple of books that have 1 word. I pulled out 2 of them. We have Otherworldly, which is by F.T. Lukens. This book has been on my TBR before. It follows Ellery, who is a non-believer in a region where people swear the supernatural is real, and Nox, who is a familiar from the other world, which is a magical assistant sent to help humans who have made cross-world bargains. Crossroad demons end up coming to attack Nox, who ends up running, and of course he runs down an alley, and there he finds Ellery fending off his attackers. Now Nox needs to make a deal with a human who can tether them to this realm, and Ellery needs to figure out how to stop this winter to help her family. So a bargain is struck, and now there's no turning back. So that's our first option. Our second option, Our second option, very well known, is Twilight by Stephanie Meyer, which is a YA vampire romance book. I have never read this, and I've been waiting to read it in October. So this is the book I am going to choose, is Twilight, because it is October now. October feels like the perfect month to read it in, and I just want to read it to see what it's like, basically. So we will be reading Twilight, which is a vampire romance novel for spooky October. So let's add that to our TBR. Now we need to find a Kindle book that starts with 1 word.
I
have a lot of one-word titles on my Kindle TBR for this month. I have pulled off 3 different ones that we can kind of choose from, or we will choose from, not kind of. All right, so let's go through these a little quickly. So first up, we have Educated by Tara Westover. So this is a memoir of hers. She did not step foot in a classroom until she was 17 years old. She was born to survivalists, so ended up growing up remotely without any like connection to the world, to other people outside of her family. So she ends up educating herself, lacking any formal education. She did it so well that she ended up being admitted to BYU for a college education. And this knowledge made her want even more knowledge. She ended up going to Harvard, to Cambridge, and then she starts to wonder if she's traveled too far and if there's still a way home. So that's her first option. Our second option is Ireland by Frank Delaney, which is obviously set in Ireland. So this book starts off in the 1950s following 9-year-old Ronan when a storyteller enters his home, and he kind of becomes enthralled with this storyteller. So after the storyteller leaves, it ends up affecting his life, and the next several years he is determined to track down this storyteller. So that's our next option, kind of like a historical fiction Irish book. And last up, we have a science fiction book called Nyexia, which is book 1 in the series. It's by Scott Rachon. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his last name. So this book follows Emmett, who has been recruited by the Babel Corporation for a lot of money and to travel to a distant planet. Once he's on board the ship, he comes to find out that there are 9 other people with them, and all of them must earn the right to travel down to the planet Eden, which the Babel Corporation has kept quiet. And down there, they are to mine a material called Nyexia, which has become the most valuable material in the universe. So he ends up having this choice to win this fight at any cost, or does he find a way to fight without compromising what it means to be human? So, science fiction book. So those are 3 options. We have a memoir, a historical fiction book, and a science fiction book. I think I'm going to go with the memoir. We don't have any memoirs on here. This one sounds kind of interesting. So let's add Educated by Tara Westover to our TBR. I had to take a short break because my camera died and I had to recharge it because we are playing the never-ending October TBR game apparently. But here we are back. The camera has another full charge. Hopefully this will be enough to complete this game, because if not, then I don't know what I'm going to do. But I think we are on to our 13th roll, I believe. So let's bring up the game board once again. All right, we rolled a 7. That's definitely a higher number, so that will help. And we landed on brown, which is our favorite prompt bag. So let's grab those prompts and see what we get for our 13th roll. So just as a reminder, since it's been many rolls ago since we landed on brown, this has our fall prompts, October prompts, and then the astrological signs for October, which are Libra and Scorpio. All right, so let's mix these cards up and see what we get for our 13th roll. All right, here we go. We're gonna go with this one, which is a October prompt, and it is a fairy tale retelling. So that's a fun prompt for October. Let's take a look through the books and see what we can find. So the physical book I'm going to go with for this prompt is a Snow White retelling. It's called Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Bayron. So I don't know too much about this book other than it is a Snow White fairy tale retelling. It looks like it follows, let me take a look here. It looks like it follows Princess Eve, who was raised with the singular purpose to destroy the night, who's an evil sorcerer who terrorizes Queensbridge with his wicked magic. Eve has a unique magical ability to conjure weapons from nature, and that makes her a worthy adversary for the night. So Eve is approaching her 17th birthday, all ready to fight the night, but her mom, Queen Regina, has been acting weird, talking to a strange mirror alone every night. Then a young man who says that he is the night's messenger appears and shares a shocking truth about Eve's past, and now she's unsure of who to trust and what to do next. So this sounds like a fun fairy tale retelling, and I'm excited to get this one onto our TBR. So we'll add Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Bayron to our October TBR. Ooh, and I just opened the book and the words are very big, so that should help. Ooh, they are huge. That makes it so much better. All right, let me see what I have for Kindle. There's a very good chance I do not have a fairy tale retelling on my Kindle TBR, but I'll be right back. I don't see a fairy tale retelling on the Kindle TBR, so we'll be sticking with just Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Bayron, and that will be the only book for this prompt. All right, let's move on to our 14th roll of the game. This is the never-ending October TBR game. How do we land once again on the exact same boarding pass? Why can we not get past this boarding pass? I don't understand. Yet again, we roll a high number, this time an 11, and once again, we land on the exact same boarding pass. Why can't we get past it? This is getting crazy. But here we are, back at the beginning of the board again. One day we will finish this October TBR. Hopefully today, because I do not want to have to charge the camera again. But we did land on the boarding pass, which means we need to choose a book from our series jar. So let me grab that. I think this is the 4th time we are pulling from the series jar this game. Hopefully the jars are continuing to be nice to us. I don't know how many more easy books I have in here, honestly. All right, let's hope for another good one. All right, we're going with this one. Let's see what book we got. Oh, we got a wind in the door because we never took that one out. We already read that, so that means we get to choose another one. All right. So that's 2. We're going to go with that one. Hopefully that was the right choice between the 2, but we will find out here shortly. All right. The book we will be reading for the 14th roll is... So this is actually City of Fallen Angels, which is the 4th book, I believe, in the Mortal Instruments series. But in between the time I put this book into the jar, I went to Cassandra Clare's website and found a different reading, list to get through the series. And this is no longer the next one. I think we go to a different series, read a couple books there before we come back to this one. So we also are not ready to read this one yet. So we're going to put this one aside. The other book is in here. All right, 3rd time's the charm. All right, we're going to go with this one. Here we go. All right, we got Every Heart a Doorway. So this is a novella series. So again, Jars is being super nice to me. This is a fantasy series. It's been on my TBR quite a few times. I just never gotten around to it. So this book is set in a world where children end up disappearing only to return sometime in the future. So this book follows Nancy, who herself disappeared at one point, and the things that she experienced in this world that she entered kind of changed her. So the children who have been in this world are now under the care of Miss West, who understands all too well what they have been through. But Nancy's arrival to this home marks a change, because with it comes darkness, and when tragedy strikes, she and her newfound schoolmates have to get to the heart of the matter, no matter the cost. So this book is only 176 pages. So another book I can read in a day. I need a lot of those on this TBR if I'm going to make it through. So thank you again, Jar, for being nice to me. And we will be putting Every Heart a Doorway onto our October TBR. Since we had to go all the way back to the beginning of the board again for the 3rd time, I am changing up the dice once again. Instead of using the 12-sided die, we are going to go up to the 20-sided die. So hopefully this game will be over soon. Hopefully. I need it to be over soon. All right, let's get on to our 15th roll of the game. So for our 15th roll, we rolled a 15. Perfect, happy, great. And we landed on orange. So let's bring up that bag and get our next prompt. So this bag has our plot prompts, miscellaneous, and series prompts. So let's mix them up real quick. All right, we are going to split the deck there and see what we get. Another series. We got another series prompt, and that is the Death in series. And we'll be reading Death in Kashmir by MMK. This is a series of books that are really all standalones, and they are murder mystery series, kind of like in the realm of Agatha Christie. They were written back in, I don't even know, like the 1950s, maybe? So this series takes place, I'm losing my mind. This series takes place in Kashmir and follows Sarah Parrish, who's on a skiing vacation in Gulmarg, which is a resort in the mountains above the fabled Vale of Kashmir. And she's anticipating, a fun, uneventful stay. But then 2 people in her party end up dying, and it's believed to be the results of foul play. And she finds herself entrusted with a mission of unforeseen importance. So when she ends up leaving the ski slope, she goes to a private houseboat on the shores of the Dal Lake, and there she discovers to her horror that the killer will stop at nothing to prevent Sarah from putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So another fun, like, murder whodunit in the realm of Agatha Christie. Another short read. Usually her books aren't super long. So yeah, there we have it. Again, prompts, jars being great to me, the board not so much. But let's get through this. Let's get to our next roll. We are now on roll 16. All right, this time we rolled a 9, another good number, and we landed on brown. So let's pull up those prompts and see what we get for our, what did I say? I think our 16th roll. Again, these are our seasonal prompts that have our fall, October, Libra, and Scorpio prompts in it. So let's mix these up well, see what we get for our 16th prompt. Hopefully, we are moving around the board at a good pace now, so hopefully we can make it past that boarding pass and find ourselves at the finish line. All right, so we have a Libra prompt, and it is a book with flying in it. So I left this kind of vague, apparently, but I guess any type of flying counts, whether it's a person, a dragon, a bird. Let's take a look and see what we got. All right, since we are on our 16th roll, we are going with a short book, and we are going with War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. There are UFOs that fly in this book. It just said flying. It didn't say it had to be a living creature that flew. So this is going to fit the prompt. Obviously, this is a classic science fiction book by H.G. Wells. I think this was the book where there was a radio show based on it that scared the daylights out of everyone when it first got released. This book is about Martians who landed on Earth and have destroyed London, and now we need to stop them from taking over the entire world. So this is a book we are going to go with for the physical book for this prompt, and that is The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Then for our Kindle book, we are going to go with The White Gryphon by Mercedes Lackey and Larry Dixon. This is the second book in her Voldemort series, if you're reading it in a chronological order. The first book I read a while back called I think it was The Black Gryphon. And basically this book is this is a fantasy series that is set in this world where there is magic. The first book, if you read them chronologically, and is set way, way in the past of this world, Voldemort, where there were wizards, and there was a good wizard and evil wizard that are fighting. The Gryphon is an intelligent flying creature who can speak and interact and has kind of their own powers. And this book is just kind of a continuation of the series it's basically a good versus evil series. It's hard to explain a lot of what's going on since this is a second book in the series without ruining the first. But I did enjoy the first book. I'm looking forward to the second book. So we will add this one on to our TBR. All right, moving on to our 17th roll. Let's get a good number. All right, we rolled a 9, and that means we landed on red. So let's grab that bag. So far, so good on our third time around the board. We haven't hit anything crazy. All right, whoa. So again, these are our cover prompts and some miscellaneous prompts and some series prompts. So let's see what we get for our, what is this, 17th roll of the game. Woohoo. All right, we'll split the deck there, and our prompt is going to be a cover prompt, and it is a cover that has a plant on it. That's a good prompt. That should give us some options that we can choose from. So let me look through our physical books, and I'll be right back. All right, so I have 2 books to choose from. I have The Stolen Kingdom by Jillian Bome. So you can see that there is a lot of foliage on here, so that is a plant. So this is a fantasy series that follows Merilith, who has a magical ability that she does not know about, and through this magical ability, she also has the claim to the throne. It also follows Alec, who is the king's second son, but isn't really happy in his position of being a spare heir. And the 2 of them end up meeting when Merilith becomes embroiled in a plot to murder the royal family and seize the throne. A cat and mouse game ensues, and this is a venture of dark magic, court intrigue, and forbidden love. So kind of like your romantasy. Then our other option is Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. This has been on my TBR a bunch of time as well. Here is the plant, woohoo. And this book follows Maggie, who is a house-flipping YouTube sensation. She ends up in a small town of Kinship, Idaho, where she is restoring a Victorian mansion. There she meets landscaper Silas Wright, and the 2 of them end up kind of falling in love, and Maggie needs to make the decision whether she continues her YouTube career or she settles down in Idaho. So out of these 2 books, I feel like we have a ton of fantasy on this TBR already, and only, I think we have maybe one, I almost said romantasy, one regular romance book on here. So I am going to go with Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. I feel like romance books are pretty quick reads. Again, like I've said a million times, that's something I need for this TBR. And I am excited to read this book. It does sound good, so I'm hoping to be able to get to it in this month. So we will go with Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score and add this on. I can't even speak anymore. This has been so long. Add this on to our October TBR. And now we need to choose our Kindle book for this prompt. All right, we have 2 options for this as well, for our Kindle books as well. We have The Girl in the Woods by Greg Olson. There is a tree on the foliage. We're okay here. There's a tree on the cover, not in the foliage for this book. So this is book 1 in his Waterman and Stark series, which is a mystery thriller series. In this book, the first book of the series, a girl finds a severed foot in the woods when she is on a nature hike. And this foot leads forensic pathologist Bertie Waterman down a dangerous trail to a dangerous psychopath whose powers of persuasion seem to have no end. So Bertie Waterman ends up teaming up with Sheriff Detective Kendall Stark in hopes to find the psychopath before the murderer kills again. So that's our first option, a good old mystery thriller. And then our other option is Ginny Moon. Again, there's a tree on this cover as well. This is by Benjamin Ludwig. It follows 14-year-old Ginny, who is growing up in foster care, has also been diagnosed with autism, and she has found herself with her 4th family, which she is hoping to be her forever family, with parents who will love her. Everyone tells her that this is her family, she should be happy, but with kind of what Ginny has been through, she continues to craft her big secret plan of escape. And that is because a long time ago, something happened that only Ginny knows, and nothing will stop her from going back to put it right. So this is kind of like a fiction book, contemporary fiction book. Of these 2, I really don't know what one I want to choose. Mystery thriller for October sounds good. This one sounds interesting because it has a mystery in it as well. I do have a lot of kind of like young adult middle grade books on this TBR already though, so I think I am going to go with The Girl in the Woods by Greg Olson because October is a very kind of thriller month for me, and I think this will be a good one to have on the TBR. So we'll be putting on The Girl in the Woods by Greg Olson onto our TBR. All right, onto our 18th roll. We have to finish it on this roll. If we get a 1, I am going to be very disappointed. to say the least. So let's go ahead and bring up the game board and see where we land. All right, we did not get a 1, we got a 12, which means we have finally completed our October TBR game. We have made it to the finish line despite having to start over 3 separate times, and that leaves us to choose the last book of the game. And the last book of the game comes from this jar here. This jar has, I believe it's 72 books that are either science fiction or fantasy award winners or award nominees that I'm trying to go through. They are the Locus Awards, Hugo Awards, Nebula Awards, and then the Young Adult and Middle Grade Science Fiction Fantasy Awards. So a good range in here. There's some easy books to read, some really hard books to read. The jars have been nice to us today, so hopefully it will give us kind of like the Young Adult Middle Grade book for this October, because that would be wonderful. All right. There's so many books in here, I don't even know which one to choose. All right, we're going with this one right here. All right, let's see what our final book for October is going to be. And it is The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. All right, let me look up and see what this book is about. All right, so The Goblin Emperor is book 1 in the Chronicles of Osrith series. It was a Hugo nominee for Best Novel, a Nebula nominee for Best Novel, and it won the Locus Award for Best Fantasy. So obviously it's a fantasy book. All right, so this book follows the youngest half-goblin son of the Emperor. This goblin has lived his entire life in exile, away from the imperial court and all the intrigue that kind of surrounds it. But then his father and his 3 half-brothers that are in line for the throne end up being killed in an accident. He now has no choice but to take up the throne in place of the rest of his family because he's the only surviving heir. So he grew up, has no idea about court politics, has no friends, no advisors, and no knowledge that whoever assassinated his family is not going to come out and get him as well. He is surrounded by people who are eager to please him as the new emperor, and he's also overwhelmed by his new life and feels like he just can't trust anybody. So here he is, the Goblin Emperor, all alone, trying to find even just one friend and hoping for the possibility of romance, but he also has to be vigilant for his enemies who may be there to try to take his life. So, interesting premise. It sounds like it could be a good one. Hopefully it's not super long. I have no idea how long this book is, but I'm hoping not super long. But this will be the last book that we'll be adding on to our October TBR, The Goblin Emperors by Catherine Addison. And that will officially complete the never-ending October TBR. So, actually, when you lift it up this way, it doesn't look too bad because we only have 5 physical books on this TBR because we had so many pulls from the jar. But let's go through this TBR and see what the final list is, since it seems like a very long time ago from our first roll to now. All right. Here we go. So our sci-fi fantasy award-winning / award nominee book choice was The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. We got a book that has some sort of plan on it, and we chose Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score, and The Girl in the Woods by Greg Olson. We had a book that has flying in it. We chose The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells because UFOs fly, and The Black Gryphon by Mercedes Lackey and Larry Dixon because the White Gryphon because that flies. We had Death in Series, the next book in that series. So we have Death in Kashmir by MMK. For our series jar, we pulled the first book in the Wayward Children series, which is Every Heart a Doorway. For a book that is a retelling of a fairy tale, we only have a physical book for that, and that is Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Bayron. For a book with a one-word title, we have Educated by Tara Westover and Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. Then we have another series. We have the 3rd book in the School of Good and Evil series, which is The Last Ever After. We pulled Lost Bones We pulled the third book in the Scottish Bookshop Mystery Series, which is Lost Bones and Old, I can't say this, Lost Books and Old Bones. I did the same thing last video. That's that series pull. Then we pulled a book from our 24 and 24 jar, and that was The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin, which is the third book in the Broken Earth series, which is the same book that we pulled when we pulled this card, the Broken Earth series. So we got a 2-for-1 deal on that one. Then we pulled another book out of the series jar, which was book 3, The Time Quintet, and that was A Swiftly Tilting Planet, which we also chose for a book with a 4-word title. So this is another potential 2-for-1 deal. We also had the Kindle choice for this prompt, which is The Thursday Murder Club by I am having trouble speaking. The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Then we pulled a book from the 24 and 24 jar again, and that is the first book in the Hercule Poirot series by Agatha Christie, and that's The Mysterious Affairs at Styles. Then we had a book from the series jar, which is Perfect by Sarah Shepard. This is the third book in her Pretty Little Liars series. Then we had to find a book with secret in the title. We could not find a physical book, but our Kindle book is The Secrets of Lost Stones by Melissa Payne. Then we pulled a book from the new release jar, which was Love at First Book by Jen McKinley. And we started off the game with the series prompt, which was for 6 Tudor Queens. So we have the first book in that series, which is Catherine of Aragon, the True Queen. So those are our 18 rolls, 16 books, because 2 of them are 2-for-1 deals, which we really needed this game. Will I get through this? I don't know. Even 16 books in a month is a lot. I do want to say one of the videos I'm putting out this month is a October TBR reading game where I'm going to be reading like scary books, dark academia books, and just books that are inspired by Halloween. And if I end up choosing a book to read for that game that fits one of the prompts, I may substitute that out just to give me a chance to finish this TBR. So we'll see. We'll see what I think about that. I think that may be what I do, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult to do that game and finish this TBR all in the same month. So we may substitute some of the prompt books for books that I play in that game if they do fit one of the prompts. Other than that, I am excited to tackle this TBR. There's a lot of good books on it, a lot that I'm excited about. We have a lot of short, quick books that should be easy to read, even books that I may be able to get 2 done in a day. And like I said, October is a fun time to be reading. I just can't wait until the temperatures get cool enough to turn on the fireplace at night, cozy up with a cup of tea, and one of these 16 books I have to read this month, it'll make for some nice cozy nights. I hope you enjoyed this TBR video. The game definitely threw me for a loop this month, but I'm not too concerned because the jar and the prompts are very nice. So we'll see how October goes, and hopefully we'll make it through and we can take that darn boarding pass off of the board for November. We'll have to see. If not, we may be adding on a third, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. Wish me luck with this TBR. I hope your October TBRs go well and you have a lot of exciting books on there that you're excited to read. Other videos coming out this month, I'm not even sure at this point, other than the October reading game I'm going to play, which I'm super excited about. I will probably be putting out a Around the World challenge. I didn't get to it in September, so I'll probably be doing a twofer in October where we have 2 different countries that we are going to read from. But other than that, I think this video has gone on long enough and I'm excited to get to reading. I hope everyone has a fantastic October and is enjoying the fall weather for those who live in the Northern Hemisphere as it starts to truly become fall. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see future videos by me, please hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you in my next video. Take care, everyone. Bye!